If you want to get started creating your own digital illustrations, graphics, or animations, there's really only one app that you need, and that app is Procreate. I use a lot of different apps and tools across the broad spectrum of content that I create, but there's one app that pretty much everything I create passes through at some point in my creative process, and that's Procreate. I use it to add illustrations and text to my photo edits. I use it to create pop-ups for my videos like this, and I even use Procreate to create all of the artwork for my book, The Magic Is You. It's super versatile, and it's the perfect app to help you build up on your digital creative skill. So in this video, I'm going to share with you my top 5 tips or tools to get you started using Procreate if you've never used the app before. These tools are going to help you build up your confidence and your creative skill quickly and easily and help support you on your creative journey. So the first thing that we're going to do is open up a canvas in Procreate. The size of your canvas doesn't matter if you want to kind of work alongside me. The first tool that we're going to look at are our drawing guides. So to turn on your drawing guides, you have to go to your canvas settings, which you'll find in that little menu that has the spanner icon. And then you just click on the canvas section of that menu and you can toggle on your drawing guide. When you toggle your drawing guides on, you're going to get this classic grid drawing guide, but Procreate drawing guides are so much more than just grid lines to help you keep your letters straight or your shapes squared. To explore the drawing guides a little bit more, we're going to tap on Edit Drawing Guides, and this is going to open up the different settings for the drawing guides. And there's so much that we can adjust in here that's going to help us adapt our drawing guides to meet our different digital creation needs. So the first thing that we can do is we can change the type of drawing guide. So there is the classic grid. There's also this isometric grid, which has kind of diagonal lines. There is a perspective grid, so you can choose your vanishing point. By tapping on the canvas, we can choose our vanishing point. So for example, if you're doing landscape drawing or cityscapes or any kind of architectural drawing, you can create these perspective lines to help you. Then we also have our symmetry lines, and there are 4 different ways that we can have our symmetry line: the vertical symmetry line, horizontal, quadrant, and radial. We can change the colors of the guides by using this kind of color toggle here at the top. You can also adjust the opacities, the thickness of the line. You can even adjust the size of the grid. This one is super helpful if you are doing any kind of digital lettering. So you can dial that grid size up or down depending on the size of letter that you want to create and how much you want them to fill your canvas or not. Another powerful feature of the drawing guides is the assisted drawing. So with grid lines, if we turn on assisted drawing and we go back out here onto our canvas, we can create a new layer. So with this assisted drawing turned on, for our grid canvas guide, when we draw a line or anything on our canvas, it's going to snap it to those straight lines. Drawing Assist will look different for your different drawing guides. So the one that it is probably the most fun with is if you are using your symmetry tool. So I'm going to go back in here and I'm going to turn on symmetry. And now with the symmetry tool, whatever I create in one section or side of my canvas is automatically going to be mirrored on the other parts. The next tool that I want to show you is snapping guides. When I started out using Procreate, one thing that really frustrated me was that I couldn't automatically center things to my canvas, or at least I thought that I couldn't automatically center things to my canvas. This is one of those tools that doesn't automatically turn on. You kind of need to know that it's there. We're going to open up our move and resize tool, which we can find by tapping on this little cursor up here. You can see I can move it around my canvas and it's not going to resist anything around it. If you tap on this little lightning bolt down in the bottom left hand corner that says snapping, you can turn on snapping or magnetics. I personally find magnetics a little bit overwhelming, especially if you have lots of layers going on in your canvas. It has a diagonal snapping as well, and that gets a little bit chaotic when you have lots of different things around the object that you're moving. I personally just use snapping. This is going to snap it to the edges of of my canvas. It's going to snap it to the vertical center line as well as the horizontal center line, and it helps me find the center point of the canvas. If I have more than one object on the canvas, so I'm going to duplicate this flower, these snapping guides are going to show me where the other flower is. So it's snapping it to the horizontal position of the other flower. If I pick up a different one, I can then snap this one to the center of this other flower or this one, or I can just place it in between them and it will align everything up. So this snapping guide is really powerful to help you as you are arranging the different elements of the graphics or illustrations that you're creating. So don't make the mistake that I did, which was using Procreate for months without knowing that this tool existed and trying to manually do all of this myself. Turn it on and straight away, trust me, it will make your life so much easier. The third tool that is amazing if you are starting out with digital illustration or using Procreate is the streamlining tool. One of the most frustrating things about moving from working on paper to doing digital illustration is that you go from working on something textured with friction to something smooth like the plastic screen of an iPad. That friction that you're used to when you're drawing doesn't exist anymore, and you might find that your lines are really shaky, your shapes aren't the same as what you're used to them being on paper, and it just can be a really frustrating process. The stabilization tools in the brush menu can help you kind of create a virtual or digital friction. To adjust the streamlining settings, we're going to tap on our brush menu, and then you can select any brush that you like to use from your brush menu and then just tap on it a second time to open up the brush studio. Today we're just going to look at the stabilization, which is the second option on that left hand side menu. There are two sections to the stabilization, which are the streamlining and the stabilization, and both of them kind of create a little bit of resistance in your brush strokes as you draw. If I turn up my streamlining a little bit, you can see already in the preview that the lines are starting to get smoother, and what happens when I'm drawing is I get this much smoother line because I'm starting to get a little bit of resistance. To take this one step further, we can turn on the stabilization tool, which is specifically designed to take that shake out. So if you're finding it really difficult to get smooth straight lines, you might want to pull this one the whole way up. In fact, if I pull it the whole way up, you can see that those lines I created completely change shape. And I really, when I'm drawing, I get so much resistance from the line as to where it goes. It's almost impossible to create these like loops. Have a play around with these two different settings and get them to a place that feels right for you. When you're happy with how they look and feel, you can go ahead and save the settings and it will save it for that brush. And then you can adjust this setting for any of the brushes in the Procreate menu. You just have to do it individually. Moving on to tip number 4, and that is the text tool. If you are someone who wants to add text to your illustrations or graphics, but you're not someone who's very confident hand lettering or digitally hand lettering, then the text tool is going to be your best friend. It's also great if you are creating graphics for your business or brand, because you can import your brand fonts into Procreate and make sure that everything that you create has exactly the same fonts so that your graphics are really cohesive across all of the different spaces that you're sharing them on. To add text to your canvas, we're going to go back to that little spanner tool, and we're going to click on the ads section of that menu, and you can see here that underneath the photo and file, we can click to add text. Our keyboard is going to pop up. We can write text, so we can just add a little bit of sample text here. Then if you tap this little capital A, small a here in the top right hand corner, you're going to open up your text settings. So here you can choose your fonts. If you want to import your own personal fonts, all you have to do is click on import font over here on the right hand side, and just make sure that you have your font files that you want to import saved into the files on your iPad. You can also adjust things like the size of the font, the kerning, the tracking. Obviously, if you select the font, that works a little bit better. You can also do fun things like create outline text here, or you can have vertical text instead of horizontal text. So there's a lot that you can do with this tool. And obviously it's super handy for adding text to any of your graphics. But another thing that the text tool is great for if you are new to digital drawing is using them as guides for your lettering. If you want to see more on this, I have a whole other video where I share my top tips for starting out with digital lettering, and I'll have linked that down below in the description box so you can go and check it out. My fifth and final tip for Procreate beginners is a reminder that you don't have to draw everything. You can easily import your own photographs from your camera roll directly onto your canvas, and then you can create illustrations or add text over them. You can also do things like create collages, so you can import a photograph, and then I'm going to use my selection tool here, and I'm going to use the freehand of the selection tool, and I'm going to trace around the edge of my sketchbook. I'm going to do it pretty loose, just to do it quickly, but if I had more time, I would be a little bit more of a perfectionist about this. And then I can just use the copy and paste down here in the bottom. And what that's going to do is it's going to copy that section that I traced around, and it looks like a cutout. So I could do this with a lot of different photographs and create a collage. Just make sure that anything you are importing in terms of stock images or photographs is something that you actually do have permission to use. I'm going to leave my favorite royalty-free image source website down below where you can get free stock image photographs that you could use to create your own blog graphics, YouTube thumbnails, podcast thumbnails, Instagram graphics, whatever you want to use it for. Let me know in the comments which one of these tips was your favorite or that you're going to be trying first. And also, if you have any questions about any of the tools or tips that I shared with you in the video, go ahead and leave them in the comments and I'll do my best to get back to you and we can problem solve any of your dilemmas together. If you liked this video, be sure to click that thumbs up button, and if you want to see more content from me, go ahead and click that subscribe button also. If you want to see more tips about how to get started using Procreate for digital lettering, you can go ahead and watch this video next. That's all from me today, but I'll see you in my next video.